Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mornings with Sue. It's 9 a.m., and today I will talk about when you should hire your first employee, which is super exciting and which you should actually really plan once you just start a dog walking business. Try to think long term. Don't try, just do. Um, think long term and already think in ways of hiring employees. Good morning, Michael. And hi. So, as soon as you start your own dog walking business, I was just saying, think of ways to hire employees. So, think already through the process. So, get the information. What's the minimum wage in your state, right? What do you have to pay in order to in order to fulfill the law? What kind of information do you have to fill out? What kind of, there's the I-9, there's so many, the I-9, yeah, well, there's so many employee forms that you have to fill out. They're not too many, but there are things that you have to do in order to stay compliant. You have to get workers' comp, payroll liabilities, and it all sounds scarier than it actually is, because once you have that all down, it's actually very easy, and you just go through the process and hire all the employees. So, but you should definitely already get the information, not when you're completely stressed out and you have all the walks and you have all the cat sits or whatever you're doing, and you don't really have time to even sit down and think about hiring employees. So get this done now while you're not that busy. If you're already all busy, then that's actually the perfect time to hire, because we're actually talking about when it is the perfect time to hire your first employee. And there are actually four markers. I get my numbers straight. Four markers when you know that you're ready to hire your first employee. So first of all, it's when you are really busy. So when you have a full schedule, it's definitely really good to get somebody on board. If you think you don't have the time to take the time to hire an employee, you're completely wrong. Just don't watch any Netflix show. Don't watch any TV shows. Don't go out with friends. Just sit down and get on hiring your first employee. There's always time to do stuff like this, because once you actually have the employee on your schedule, then you have more time to work on your business. You can hire more employees and you can get more clients. So that's the first marker. You're really busy. So usually it's definitely good if you have a full schedule, so you can basically give about like 80% to that new employee and then build up more clients, which leads me to the next point. You know you're ready when you can hire your first employee, when you have a client, when you have a steady potential client stream coming in. So I was talking about automating client screenings. I think I did 2 days ago. So get this in place to automate your client screenings, to have constantly forms coming in where potential clients want to be your clients. So get this on to where you really know that you will have more clients coming in the future, because otherwise, if you give your basically like 80% of your schedule to the new employee, you can't really sustain that for too long if you don't get more clients in. So you need to have that peace of mind that more clients are coming in. Also, with that being said, in order to have more clients coming in, I am personally thinking always, it's not so much about ads, it's not so much about all the other stuff, it's really about Google reviews. I personally think it's super important to have Google reviews and Yelp reviews and Facebook reviews, all the reviews you can get, but definitely Google reviews, because a lot of people are still, whenever they hear about a business, they just put it in on Google, right? I mean, a lot are doing it on Yelp as well. But really Google is number one. So get your Google reviews collected starting now and have all these 5-star reviews, so you have that that steady client stream coming in. And also you need to have your prices straight, because I was just talking about doing your research on how much you are going to pay your employee. You need to have probably, I'm not so sure obviously what you're charging now, if you're already on top of the tier, but in your area you should definitely not be average in your charging prices, but you should definitely be on top of that. You should be like on top of that price spectrum. And I'm personally charging the most in our area, and it's very important. It's very possible to do that. You just have to kind of like build it up. So if you are not charging enough as it is yet and you want to hire employees, don't do it. I first would say position yourself as a premium provider. charge the highest prices, get your clients used to it, get those great Google reviews so you have something to back it up, of course, why you're even charging those higher prices, because you are the best, right? So, and so get this up first and do the math on how much you're paying your employee versus how much you're charging. Hi to Salon Guy, how are you doing? So get this really, I mean, it's not an easy feat to just hire employees and then just be fine. You have to completely do the math. And a lot of people that are getting into the dog walking business industry, they're not really good necessarily with bookkeeping, they're not really good with math, and there are people that can teach you that, like me. But you need to know your math in order to know that you can actually sustain these employees. Because if you hire even 1, 2, 3 employees, 4, 5 employees, and then you're still only making like $20,000 a year, which is completely possible. A lot of people are in that kind of in that, you know, in that kind of situation. You're not going to sustain long, and we obviously don't want that. So get your prices up to being the premium provider. If anybody like, you know, like Rover and WAG, those are the guys that are not charging as much. It's us dog walking businesses that are really providing that personalized service, the not the technology, but really more like the human part, and where people know that which kind of people are really coming to their house. Those are the people that are going to pay more money for their services. So get your prices up, be a premium provider, get those Google reviews, and have that steady client flow, and really do the math, do the homework on how much you will want to pay your employee. Because there are payroll liabilities and there is workers' comp in most of the states. I mean, you should always get workers' comp just in case something happens. You need to be protected. Your business needs to be protected. And of course, you want your employee to be taken care of. So just to do the math a little bit, it should be your employee payroll should be about between 30 and 40% of the visit. So like, let's say if you're charging $20 for a visit, that's really starting at like $6 per visit for like the employee should get about $6 for the visit. But you have to calculate in payroll liabilities and workers' comp. It really depends on where you live, in which state and which country. In the US, I would say it's around 25% off payroll. So you have to basically, if your employee gets, like, let's say, what is it? Like, let's say they get $10 per visit, right? So let's say it's an hour visit. The 25%, that's an additional $2.50 on top of what they're getting paid that you will have to pay. So that would be then $12.50, which adds up actually really, really quickly. And then you have to really make sure, are you charging your clients enough? So it's not just so much about when you should hire your first employee, but really positioning yourself right and setting yourself up for success in order to hire that employee successfully and sustain your business. And not just sustain your business, but actually have your business flourish. So are there any questions in regards to this? Because there might be things that I'm not answering right now. But that's really it with hiring and employees. And it might actually, it really, I mean, I really don't want to make it sound scary, because it really is actually not scary once you have it figured out and you have your routine and everything when you hire employees. But the thing is, you should definitely be prepared. Any good business is very well prepared, has a plan, even has a plan on when to up your rates, you know, like every year or whatever, you know, by a few dollars. And you should definitely have that figured out before you hire an employee, because you also have to see, don't just try to see the business side, try to see also the employee side. So once you hire an employee, they that want to stick with you. They are counting on that money to come in for bills and or any kind of side projects they have, and you don't want to let them down either. So you really you have to really serve then your clients, your employees, and your business. So what are some difference in hiring full-time versus part-time? Well, that's the thing. It really depends. So Michael asked, what are some differences in hiring full-time versus part-time? It really depends on your business model. So are you providing overnight pet sitting? Are you providing pet sitting, dog walking? We personally only provide really dog walking, midday dog walking, so between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. So we can only hire part-time employees, not full-time. I would love to hire full-time employees at this point, but like walking wise, it's really just part-time employees. In the office, it's a whole nother thing. You can kind of do full-time if it's an admin position, like let's say you already hired 5 employees and you're hiring an office manager. In order to make that office manager full-time, then you would need an office manager who can also do marketing for you or so, or HR, like they can really do kind of like a lot of things to make them full-time. But I personally would recommend starting with part-time employees. Even if you offer dog sitting, like, if you offer to where you come in the morning, midday, and evening, or overnight pet sitting or so, because people do burn out, and a full-time pet sitting schedule, I mean, you actually really need an employee who is really used to that, because it's not just like you're going to work and sit on a computer from 8 to 4 or 5 or on a register and checking out, right? A lot of our employees are more used to that. But to actually drive around and go from house to house and walk so much, a lot of people are not used to that kind of exercise and are not used to that kind of stress in a way of like driving around and doing all the visits and having the responsibility as well. So I personally would say do part-time first, and then once that part-time employee works really well out and you have those services that you are offering that justifies to have a full-time employee, then make that part-time employee a full-time employee. I'm sure that employee would be very, very happy if it has the schedule, if it has the time, if it wants to do that. So it really actually really, really depends on what you're offering. I mean, if you're offering all these services and you can offer full-time schedule, you could even offer like 4 days a week. A lot of employees would love that, or even do a part-time dog walking, and if they're really good in marketing, then they can do additional hours from home or so you can make him a full-time. But I personally would say get your feet wet first with part-time employees, and because also the laws are different between part-time and full-time employees, because once you have full-time employees, if you have a certain amount, you have to offer benefits, so health insurance and stuff like that. And you would actually, even if you only have one employee and they're depending on a full-time income on you, they are probably looking for some benefits, and you want to make sure that you have the right information on all of that. So first, do part-time. Several part-time employees, I personally think, is definitely better than just one full-time employee, because also if one falls out or if they're going on vacation, you're not completely left with nobody or just a few employees. So you're very welcome. I hope it answers it really, really, really well. There's obviously really a lot to hiring employees, and I'm developing my employee mastery course right now, where I will talk about everything like that, because I have been there to I've done both, part-time and full-time employees. And as I said, there are different implications of law, there are different implications of liabilities you have, and what you also want to provide for your employees, and what is good for your business, right? And dog walking businesses are definitely way different than retail businesses. So if you have a doggy boarding place, that's a whole nother story again, Michael. And I know you're kind of interested in that, and having a boarding place for dogs. There, it's definitely much easier to actually have full-time employees. It's different than dog walking, because somebody has to be with the dogs, right? It's like 24/7 basically. So then it might be actually better to hire a full-time employee and a few full-time employees, but you might be able to justify that more too, because you charge differently. You really don't charge based on walks, but you charge based on days. But also position yourself there as well, that you're a premium provider. Don't just be any run-of-the-mill provider. I always encourage people to be the best and be a premium provider and charge the best prices. Especially with dog boarding, you can do so much, like little ads on. I mean, I see it in New York City, they have like little beds instead of just like those like dog beds. They have like kind of like a little kind of IKEA beds or something that just look like more like human beds. And they have like little night tables and a TV and a camera in every room, which is not expensive, and where people can check in on their dogs. If I would have a dog boarding place, I would make it so premium you can't even imagine. And I might do it one day, who knows? But I would actually make it so premium where clients can really check in on their dogs or their cats or so, and go out all the way. And it's not really expensive. It's more like those little things, like a little table, maybe a little TV or radio. Like those things are really not expensive, and they last for so long. And especially with the camera where people can check in, that's awesome. And then you can charge like double on what everybody else charges. And then you get those employees that are being paid really, really well. That's what I'm always saying too. If you're a premium provider, pay your employees the best in your area as well. You really want your employees to be excited to come to work, and really happy about like working for you, and be your advocate. So don't just really charge high prices and then rip off your employees. That's not fair. So that's what I'm always thinking too. If I'm the premium provider, I want to be the premium payer as well. There, of course, you have to be within a certain limit, but that's definitely really important. So I'm getting here completely out of my way. That's probably my longest show ever. I am hoping I'm answering all the questions. I know there's so much more to talk about, and I'm really, really passionate about that because I love having employees and I love hiring. And I love for everyone else to do it. Whenever I see on groups or so, Facebook groups, people that have been in business for 10, 15 years and have not hired employees or had employees before and then stopped doing it, and are basically just saying, oh, I'm completely happy without. That's BS. You're not happy without employees, because if something happens to you, where's your income coming from, right? What's going to be with your business? There are many instances, my family, in my like I'm sure in your guys' family too, or friend circle, where people just all of a sudden get sick. And then what do you do with the income? So it's not like we're getting any kind of sick days paid through our employers. So yes, I'm so glad it helped. Let me know if you have any more questions, of course. If you have any more ideas on what I should make a show about, I would be very, very happy to accept it. I want to help you guys. I hope that really, really helped. Let me know in the comments if there is anything else. What helped you the most? Are you ready to hire employees? And I wish you a wonderful day now. Get your employee thinking head on and think big, guys. There is no difference between thinking small and thinking big. There's only the difference that you're going to reach more. So why not just think big, right? All right, guys. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week. Take care.